I'm not gonna waste your time. You've just finished your ultimate masterpiece and now you wanna know where to dump it, so that the world can read it. I'm just gonna walk you through the major platforms for you to see which one is the best for your work. But first, I need to tell you something about publishing webcomics. I could have just left this information for the end of the video, since it's kind of a plot twist that will make most of this video pointless. But I'm here to help, not to stall. So I'm just gonna say it right now. It doesn't matter where you publish it. It doesn't make much of a difference. Because none of the platforms will recommend your comic to potential fans. None of them have a smart algorithm like YouTube or TikTok. On social media, whenever you publish something, the algorithm will try to understand what it is that you just published and recommend it to people who might find it interesting. It's how you found this video you're watching, for example. We take for granted how advanced these algorithms actually are. They make it very easy for good content to find a fan base. But on every major webcomic platform I know, that's not the case. They do have something of an algorithm, yes, but it's very primitive and it will only promote you if you already have a sizable following and or have a contract with them, with stuff like Webtoon originals or the Tapas paywalls, which of course requires you to already have a following. By the way, don't paywall your main content. Sure, absolutely, you should make monetized content and paywall special stuff, but paywalling your big thing, your main comic, is really stupid on many levels, and it will only make potential fans either resent you or just pirate your hard work. Don't do it. There are better ways of getting that bag with your comic. Anyways, as I said, the major platforms won't recommend your stuff if you don't already have a following, like at all, and you can't get a following if nobody sees your work. So if you simply plop your comic into these websites, they will 100% just be left to rot with zero readers, zero engagement. So what do you have to do to get readers? You have to use platforms with actual engaging algorithms. You can view the publishing websites almost as a storage for your comic. It's not gonna generate much engagement. It's simply where you point your fanbase to. The fanbase you grew through other platforms like YouTube or Instagram. So you create an account of one of those social media, like Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and you can choose whichever you prefer. That's where you're gonna engage with people. That's where you're gonna get fans, interact, and do all that stuff. The webcomic website is simply the repository for your work, the link you add in your bio. When you're starting out, it's better to focus on a single social media platform. Later on, you can have multiple platforms, but it's better for now if you just pick the one you like using the most and create your professional account there. Now, what you need to do to get those fans is a subject for another video, but in essence, you gotta be creative. Post memes, commissions, challenges, opinions, pencil drawings of cartoon characters getting incredibly buff after a breakup, you know what I'm talking about, and definitely don't post about politics. That's always a surefire way of cutting your fanbase in half. And then, occasionally, you talk about your comic. Post snippets of it, let your followers know that you have a comic, and link them to it. You can even post the comic on your social media itself, if you make more like short stories, newspapers, comics, strips, that type of stuff. You can simply post it on the Instagram or TikTok or Twitter. You don't have to link it to an external website. It will make it even easier for people to share it. But if it's more manga-like, serialized, big storytelling, then yeah, you link your posts to your main comic page. If the people like your personality and posts, they'll probably check out what your comic is about. And if it's good, which I'm assuming it is, you start growing a fan base. But keep in mind, all of this will only work if your comic already sells itself. If the right people, your target audience, consistently and reliably get interested by it and want to keep reading. It needs to have a very well-defined identity. So you should probably see this video right here on the channel if you're not so sure. It talks about comic identity a bit more in depth. So, publishing. You already have your pages saved on your computer or drawn on a physical paper page. How do you get that stuff online? If you draw traditionally with pen and paper, move to digital. For real though, if you're on the fence about which to choose, pick digital. Draw with a tablet, it is very much worth it getting used to drawing digitally. You save a lot of time, everything is convenient, you can work with layers, undo mistakes, use reference, it's more efficient. But if you must draw traditionally, you really cannot change this. Pen and paper is your life. Then what you gotta do to publish your stuff is this. You scan it. Don't take a picture of the pages with your phone. Acquire a digital scanner and scan it. Do it properly. It isn't particularly cheap, but come on, if you can afford it, it will make a night and day difference for the quality of the pages. Whenever I draw traditionally, I use a portable scanner from a brand called Brother. It's this model on the screen right here. It kind of looks like a shredder, but it just scans your page. It doesn't shred your work. I'm not sponsored or anything, you can use any model you have access to, but that's just the one I use and it's pretty practical. I can carry it anywhere. I'd recommend it. You probably want a portable scanner instead of those huge ones. So yeah, you have all your pages ready to go. Where should you publish it? Let's talk about Webtoon, the big one everyone knows. It's a good place to publish simply because it is the most famous one. It's simple to use and overall very practical. Its major flaw is something we already talked about. It's a mafia. You don't go anywhere in there if you don't already have a fan base or work for the website. They only promote their Webtoon original series. So, if you want to see works that aren't originals, you gotta go to the Webtoon Canvas section of the website. It's kind of like everything published by the underdogs gets swept under the rug. So you can see now why promoting your stuff externally is so important, right? The site in itself is pretty good, but it doesn't recommend your stuff. Webtoons works pretty well, there's technical support for you to contact if you need to, publishing is simple and easy, sharing your work is not complicated at all, and there's even some room to grow there, becoming a Webtoon original if you manage to get big, and some money to be made. If your comic is on Webtoon style, like scrolling down, this is it. This is your website, go publish there. If your comic is more a traditional Western comic type of page, there's a better option, so we'll talk about it in a minute. Tapas is just Webtoons, but worse in my opinion. Everything is horribly monetized, the app, at least for me, is buggy and messy. It's just... I don't see a point in publishing there when there's Webtoons. Sure, publish on both, but I don't like Tapas very much, that's my opinion. The only reason I can see for publishing on Tapas is its large user base. But then again, you won't be depending on people discovering your work by browsing the site. You gotta actively build your audience, so it doesn't make that much of a difference. Mangadraft is a French website. It is buggy and messy and very French. But the premise is pretty interesting. It supports both Webtoon, scrolling down comics, and traditional layout, page-turning comics. So that's an excellent feature. It's still pretty new, so I think they're gonna fix the bugs, but for now it's kind of something to look forward to. Not exactly the best website for you to publish your main work in. I'm just letting you know about it. If your work is more explicitly manga, you have MangaPlusCreators and MangaDojo, both of which are okay websites, but they have no monetization at all available in them. They are new, but I didn't want to simply brush over them, so I'm mentioning the websites just so you know they exist. NamiComi is also a new website for publishing comics and manga, and it's looking very promising. It's a great place to publish your manga. They have it all, basic monetization systems, something of an algorithm to help your comic be discovered, and every now and then they do these contests with money prizes. There are actually nothing to scoff at. But the best website to publish full-on traditional comics or manga, in my opinion, is GlobalComix. It supports scrolling down Webtoon types, but it's mostly focused on traditional page comics. A lot of big names are getting on board on this website, and it seems like the best option for posting traditional comics. I never published in there, so I don't know if there's a secret fee that they don't talk about or any twists, but this one seems to be the best. They have a lot of major players publishing there, like Dark Horse and DC Comics, so you know the website at the very least can be trusted. Monetizing here isn't very intrusive and it's very flexible. You can make everything for free or paywall stuff at your own will. The website is pretty professional, it supports any type of comic format, and it even has this cinematic mode for reading, in which it zooms into the panels like a dramatic slideshow, so that you, the creator, can control the scenes and the pacing. It's pretty gimmicky and it slows down the pace of the reading a lot, but it's pretty cool and can have some very impactful results in some scenes. So basically, Webtoons for scrolling down comics and GlobalComix for traditional ones. But there's a secret option which is actually the very best, and it is making your own website. It isn't as hard as it sounds, you just use one of those website builders and make a simple page. Granted, it is harder to make a website than simply publishing it on an already existing one, but it's worth it. You can make money from ads, have your little store for selling merch, link your social media profiles, you can create and customize your own platform. I think for the long term, that's the best option. It isn't expensive, it isn't very hard to do, and it's the most professional option, especially if you're very serious about your comic. If you're afraid to do it right now, that's fine. You can just pick between Webtoons or GlobalComix to start gathering fans, and then eventually upgrade to your own website to help grow your fan base even more. There's nothing lost by publishing on every single website too. You can just do that, publish it everywhere. But for me, it's too much mental bandwidth to keep updating all of these websites all the time. So now you know where to publish your comic. I'll be excited to read it when you do. I have a course on writing webcomics, and all I can tell you now is, the best is yet to come.